everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. 'Tis I, Captain Logan, and joining me, as almost always, is my wonderful co-host, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It's going well.
Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling great. I don't sound 100%, but I feel good.
You keep saying that. I can't really say. Occasionally, there's a little grovel in it, but for the most part, you sound pretty normal to me.
Well, I'm sure it'll degenerate over the next 2 hours, and then you'll understand.
Also guesting with us this evening is my buddy Kareem. Hello, Kareem.
Hello, everyone.
I want to say welcome back to the show, but you've only sort of been on this show.
Yeah, I've never been on a Captain Logan show premiere thing.
Yeah, well, when we did the Transformers thing, we did it under...
It was a half review.
Yeah, it was because we did it under the name of the Captain Logan Show, but it was pretty much just a spoiler cast, because we thought that would go shorter, and then we would do a lot of Q&A at the end. I think the reason I was confused as to whether you'd been on a Q&A show is I think we did do some regular Q&A at the end of that, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
That might have been.
Not sure, but finally you're on the Captain Logan Show proper, so welcome back. Folks, throughout the show, feel free to field things. Also, to Kareem, you can ask him things that are not directed at me if you want to, if you're so inclined. Kareem is a comics guy. He really knows his stuff. He knows the history and ins and outs of especially a lot of indie stuff a lot better than I do. So if you've got comic stuff you want to talk about from past and present, tonight would be a good time for it. And we're going to open tonight with a lead-in topic about a couple of trailers that I watched, and I'm going to assume both of these guys saw. Kareem, did you watch the trailers?
I did.
Okay, cool. And I think DJ actually, for the first time ever, maybe watched trailers.
I watched the Cruella trailer while you were just talking.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure you had the same takeaway everybody did, even not listening that much to dialogue, so...
It seems it seems extreme. It's like crazy.
Yeah, did it remind you of anything? Did it remind you of a girl on a cop? Just a little bit? Anyway, welcome to the program tonight, everybody. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for watching after the fact if you're doing that instead. It's going to be a regular Q&A show after we get done talking with trailers. So as always, if you want to make sure that your question, comment, or topic gets discussed this evening, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount. We are 85 to 90% funded. I almost said degrees. I wish that was the degrees outside right now. It's still super crazy cold. But you can leave a super chat in the dollar amount that will make sure that your comment is discussed on air. We are mostly funded by the audience now, and that helps us out a lot, but we appreciate just being here. Don't feel like you have to do that, and we will handle as many pre-written things as humanly possible as well. We weren't able to do a Marvel Mania on Tuesday because DJ was under the weather, so Jason and I did a Captain Logan show, which went really well. Thanks a lot for everybody popping in and supporting us that night for a sudden Captain Logan show we had not planned. Marvel Mania will be back, hopefully, on Tuesday with the Spider-Verse commentary, so look forward to that. And let me also plug real quick, tomorrow night is the premiere for part 2 of my 3-part, long-winded, ridiculous, epic superhero rewind on Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Tomorrow night's the part will be an hour and 20 minutes long, and is chronological, and we'll be tackling the first hour and 10 minutes of the film. I'll be dealing with the whole other 2/3 of the movie in the third part, and we'll see how long that ends up ultimately being. So look forward to that. I will be there again for the premiere, hanging out in the comments. If you don't know about premieres, they work a lot like live shows, so the thing is being broadcast live, but it is pre-recorded, and I'm just there in the comments to chat with you about it as it goes. Those have been going wonderfully lately. Last week we had about 100 people there, and I was chatting with a whole bunch of people in the comments, and it was a lot of fun. So it's a great time. Pop in with us if you want to experience Superhero Rewind that way, and I will be doing that with most reviews now as often as humanly possible, or at least Superhero Rewind reviews. And now, the news! So we've got a couple of trailers to chat about. One is for Mortal Kombat, and I was really surprised we didn't have a trailer for this before now. I think a lot of people were really worried about what that was going to look like when we finally got a trailer. That thing comes out in a month and a half, and we finally have a trailer for, is it 2 months? It's like, it's a month and a half, 2 months. Because what is that, like, yeah. April, like back half of April 17, 18, so yeah, a couple months from now. And then we also are going to talk a little bit about the Cruella trailer. So let's talk Mortal Kombat first. I don't have a ton to say except that it looks, the production values look surprisingly pretty cool, and there was, again, a lot of worry that it was going to be really lame looking, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. It basically looks like a straight-up remake of the original 90s movie that is kind of beloved in a lot of Mortal Kombat circles, and that, you know, people love for its you know, crazy cheese factor, and you know, that's a real kind of cult thing. And the trailer made it pretty clear that there's a lot of reverence, not just for the overall history of the game franchise, but also for that movie specifically. It looks like a cheese fest again, and it looks like it's not taking itself anything like seriously. It basically just looks like an update of that material using the look of the more recent games, and I imagine some of those characters, although it's making a much bigger deal out of everybody you've heard of from the first couple of games. I like the roll call. I like that it's going through and you know, letting you know what some of the main characters are going to be, because that's, I mean, everything about Mortal Kombat is superficial unless you attempted to do a movie that had like a real deep character-driven story. I'm not saying you couldn't do that, and I said the same thing with Scorpion's Revenge, but that's not what anybody is necessarily expecting. I think it would be insanely risky to do that, and I would love the Batman Begins Mortal Kombat movie. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, man.
But this looks like a lot more like, I think, what a lot of fans would want. It also makes a really big deal out of, don't worry, Scorpion and Sub-Zero might actually be like characters in this movie and not just like mind-controlled minions this time. It's got a bunch of fatalities at the end, which I thought was the way to do it. It could have been a game trailer. And anyway, I'm kind of... I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I think it's got a chance of being really fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it leaned into what it is, which is the best thing you could do. I mean, we live in an age now where, specifically like with the Sonic movie or something like that, you have to like, they make these movies, these cult followings, and then they leave what it actually is, and they try to like modernize it and make it realistic and make it more mainstream and stuff. So this is like, no, we know what Mortal Kombat is. Let's lean into it. So if it's going to be cheesy, it's got to be cheesy. So I like it, and it's going into the violent, like R-rated kind of tone. So I'm down.
Yeah. I think, like Kareem said, everything feels like it has to justify itself, or like say, we're cooler than the source material, don't worry. But like, I feel like the violence is why this did it. Like, because they could go really violent, they didn't have to feel the need to like try to make it cool, you know? They're just like, well, since we're super violent anyway, then we can just kind of be what it is. So it looks accurate to those modern games. I'm really excited for the people that like Mortal Kombat. It's not my thing, but like, I'm glad they're getting what they like.
Yeah, my knowledge of Mortal Kombat is just my cousins beating my behind at the game. But I've seen the 90s movie, and it reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's why I said, for me, excited is not the right word, because I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan, but because I've delved more into it in the last couple of years, more recently, you know, Eric showing me the original movie. I had seen it before, but I learned a lot more watching it with him, because he's a big fan of that movie, and he knew a lot about the production and the characters from the games and stuff. And then my son's gotten really deep into the original Mortal Kombat games, which I'll let him play, but not the more recent stuff, because it's just way too violent and way too gory. And by the way, I should probably draw attention to this. On Tuesday, Jason modded for me, and I let him pick in the lead-in music, and he picked the Mortal Kombat song, not knowing we were going to get a trailer this week.
Crazy.
And I think a couple people in the comments were like, oh, was there a trailer? Is that why you're playing the music? And then tonight, we got so I didn't want to go anywhere near that with the lead-in music for tonight, so I just played the Grey Ghost theme from Batman, just trying to make it, like, not remotely related to anything we're doing this evening.
Pretty big coincidence.
You know, it's weird. Fighting game is a really weird thing to make a movie about, right? Because everyone especially Mortal Kombat, because they have their fatalities, which you can't do unless you're killing off a bunch of main characters, or if you're just like doing fatalities on randos that nobody cares about. But then everybody comes into the movie with their favorite character that they like to play as, but only one person gets their character to win the movie. It's really weird. I mean, you can still enjoy it, but it's
I was always a Sub-Zero guy, so it looks like they did him justice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's cool that they did like some fatalities with him and Scorpion that didn't kill him. Like he like pulled the blood out of him and froze it and stuff, but he didn't die from that. So I guess they could do that. But
okay, again, I'm just gonna sound superficial because we have to look at Mortal Kombat like we look at Power Rangers. Like for Mortal Kombat, this looks really fun, right? And like the things that you can like criticize or laud it for are going to be like very surface level kinds of things. That blood that turns into a blade is the coolest thing in that trailer. That is really neat. I've never seen that. That's probably a thing directly from like Mortal Kombat X or Mortal Kombat 11 or something, and I just haven't played enough of that to see it. But like, that is cool. And I don't know, the way they focused on that, I got the sense that that's maybe going to be like a big fan thing for people that have played the more recent games more often. Like, I bet that's directly from somebody's fatality, and I just didn't know about it.
I don't know much about the mythology, but did you guys feel like they were kind of Avengerizing it? Like, assembling all the heroes, or is that just part of the...
No, because the 90s movie did exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, Raiden, and they get everybody together. Although this Shang Tsung is not anywhere near as terrifying as the 90s one.
No, he's not.
That guy is horrifying.
That's the one thing that I was a little bit disappointed by. I'm a little bit worried he's not going to have enough personality. He's still doing the voiceover thing where he's calling the matches. Like, he's still like, finish him. You know, he's doing that. But like, I don't know. I hope we don't have like a Jafar or a Scar situation where it's like, really? That's the guy you cast? Okay. Like, he's not menacing at all.
Yeah, they should have cast a little 28-year-old like they did with Jafar.
I'm glad Raiden's younger though, because in the first movie he doesn't get to do all that much, and like he doesn't fight a whole lot, and he's basically just like the Nick Fury bringing everybody together, like Kareem was talking about. And this guy looks more like Raiden, and he's younger, and so I don't know. That's cool. I didn't recognize a single actor in that trailer, by the way.
That's the way to do it, man. Raiden gets his fight scene in the second movie.
I've never seen that because everybody talks about how terrible it is, so I never bothered with it.
It's one of the worst things ever put to film. It's horrendous.
I'll probably finally sit down and watch it at some point just so that I also can confidently say that.
We should do a commentary on it.
Well, sure, that seems like an easy blind commentary fodder. Absolutely. Yeah. That's maybe an After Dark commentary.
We should.
But yeah, I had this thought real quick before we move on to the other trailer, and I don't know about you guys. This is the one I wanted to talk about probably more than the other one. But and I've got a couple things to say about that. But the thing I found myself thinking at the end of that was how surprised I was not going, why does this exist? Because, again, it looks kind of like a retread of that first movie, but there actually is maybe an audience for this. Like, it kind of makes sense to update this material. There's a lot of stuff that we go back to and we make another version of, or we remake just because of brand recognition, but you wonder, or name recognition, but you wonder, like, who is this for? You know, like, the only people that are really going to care about this are fans of the original, and you have to work really hard to impress them and make them happy about it because you basically have to make a better movie than the first one. I don't think you have that with Mortal Kombat. I think you actually can basically just update and make, and I hate to say, like, it's got to be more brutal, it's got to be more violent, but they're trying to make it look like the more recent games, so it is going to have that. The animated movie, Scorpion's Revenge, also did that. But, like, there's this whole other audience that I think would want the same kind of cheesy schlock, maybe, that we got in the 90s, but that grew up with, or have played more recently, these games, which have found a life of their own, and there's a Mortal Kombat base again, just like there was in the 90s. Like, this actually has every reason to exist, I think. I also question whether it will be popular. Like, I'm saying that at the same time. I don't know if this makes any money, but it feels like it ought to.
Everyone is just shouting at you who everybody is in the chat. You have seen all these actors, you just don't recognize them.
Well, a lot of them were wearing masks and stuff. I'm just saying I didn't recognize them in the trailer.
So Shang Tsung
from Wolverine.
Yeah, Mr. Lau is Shang Tsung.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, I said nobody. Yes, that guy. Not only did I recognize that guy, I've not looked into the production of this at all. I should have said this earlier. I started the trailer expecting that guy to show up. I was like, that guy's gonna be in this movie, right? And then there he was. I forgot about him.
He was in Arrow. He was in everything.
Oh, really? Jimmy Olsen from Supergirl is their Jax? But see, like, I didn't get a good look at his face.
I didn't notice that.
And then apparently Ludi Lin
That's
from Power Rangers 2017 is Liu Kang.
Is that the guy who played
Is it Adam?
Who played
Zach?
Not Adam. Well, yeah, I know. I almost did that too, and I was like, don't say Adam. Yeah, who played Zach?
Wow, that's crazy.
Zach and Billy.
It looks like they got the people who grew up with Mortal Kombat and was like, here you go. Like, it's got the violence, it's got the cheesiness, it's got the mythology, it's got the action, all of that. That my biggest complaint with modern movie companies is they don't reward the target audience, or they have the wrong target audience. They're trying to get new fans, and then they piss off the older fans. You know, so it looks like it's a genuine thing.
And I don't understand why Hollywood still hasn't learned this. We talk about this all the time, like my entire lifetime should have taught these people about it. At least 3, if not 4 decades of the most popular movies based on source material tend to be things that have a lot of reverence for what that was, who keep it to the spirit of it, aren't that concerned with it being really accessible, and then it accidentally becomes accessible because the people that love that thing go see it, and then there's a lot of word of mouth, and that people that wouldn't usually think to go are like, well, my buddy says this is cool, I guess I'll try it, and then it wins everybody over, and then it becomes accessible. Why haven't we figured that out yet?
I don't know.
It seems so easy.
This should be taught in school. This should be like selling movies 101, you know?
Especially this one. This is the easiest, like, all they did was just copy the modern games. Just look at the modern games and make it exactly the same thing, but with real people. And it looks exactly the same as the game.
What you'd want. It's like, yep, that's Mortal Kombat. If that looks too stupid and superficial to you, you probably don't want a Mortal Kombat movie. That's fine, you know? Like, things don't have to be for everybody, and not everything has to be important, and not everything has to be the smartest thing ever. Like, I just want it to know what it is and be good at doing that. Like, there's room for everything, and I like schlocky things.
I think that's sort of the problem, too, because these, like, corporate, obviously, like, these big movie companies are trying to look for the big payday. So they want everything to be a huge hit. They want everything to be like the Avengers or something like that. So,
well, and that might be the problem with Mortal Kombat, is it might require a big budget. Those effects might cost a lot. I don't know what the budget is for this movie, but
I don't know if this makes money though.
Yeah, it might not make enough.
People in the comments, like Devontae Brown and a couple other people, have pointed out that, like, well, most people are going to see it on HBO Max. It's not going to make money. So I guess the bigger question is, would it have, if it, like, you know, the virus notwithstanding, like, would this movie, like. I don't know what my prediction would be with a thing like this. I don't think it even makes Ant-Man money. I think that opening weekend is probably like 20 to 30.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty niche, especially when R-rated.
And I know I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying that there should be more of an audience for this, but I don't know. Like, my instincts are saying that, like, it's not a thing a lot of people would have seen. Now maybe that's partly just because I'm seeing a trailer 2 months out. Like, this hasn't been everywhere. I forgot this was coming out. So that might be part of why I'm saying this, is it doesn't have a whole lot of advertising power behind it. But it may have if it actually was going to the theater. Exclusively to the theater.
What would be cool is if this ends up being like a sleeper hit and they do a sequel and mix the DC heroes.
And I'm glad you went there because I wanted to talk about that. There is, if people like this movie, and again, forget whether it makes any money. If it's, I don't know, critically acclaimed, but like if it's well liked, if it's not panned, if people don't hate the thing, I think there's every possibility for an Injustice movie down the road, or a DC, Mortal Kombat mixed movie. And I think the craziest irony in the world would be if we got a really dark, like screwed up, Injustice movie, and it did the whole dark DCEU thing in a way more entertaining and weirdly light and likable way.
And not mean-spirited.
Not mean-spirited, exactly. Yeah, because as violent and in places like horrifying as Mortal Kombat looks, doesn't look mean-spirited. You can't say that. You can't say that's a cynical-looking film. And look how much blood there is. Look how much murder there is. It's not cynical. It's just having a good time with it. And one of the things I really admired about the Injustice comics was that it did both of those things somehow. Yeah. It's talking about really deep, serious issues. It's also weirdly cheesy, and sometimes going too far with that. But it's weirdly lighthearted in its way, and it proves that I forget that guy's name. Help me out, Kareem. I forget that writer, but
Tom Taylor.
Thank you, Tom Taylor.
Jeez,
and by the way, he's hit or miss. I haven't liked everything he's written. I want to say he did Justice League Power Rangers also, and I didn't care for it. That might not have been him, but he did do Deceased, and I thought the first issue of that was awful, but I didn't keep reading it, so maybe it would win me over. I don't know. I keep meaning to review that. I was going to do it at Halloween, and I didn't get around to it. So anyway, but Tom Taylor I sometimes like and I sometimes don't. But he proved that he really gets the spirit and the morality of Superman, while simultaneously turning him into a horrifying despot, which is all I wanted from BVS, if that's the direction that was going to go, or if we were even going to imply that character could go there. The greatest irony in the universe would be if Injustice gets made, and it's finally the movie that has a Superman that feels like Superman.
Oh.
It'd be the craziest thing in the universe.
Mortal Kombat saved the Justice League.
And I'm not going to say that I want that, at least not before we get a real Superman movie. That's not how I would want that to go down, Kareem. But I do like the idea, if we lived, all things being equal, if we lived in a world where we had a DCEU that looked more like, traditional DC superheroes, and what you and I would probably want, Kareem, from those characters, it would be fine to do that kind of an Elseworlds thing, and we're already doing that with Joker and things like that. So I mean, I want the Injustice movie. I don't want it before Cavill gets to play real Superman, before somebody gets recast and plays real Superman.
And if it ends up being Henry Cavill, he deserves to play the actual Superman. Yeah. I mean, it's a long time coming.
And so I certainly wouldn't want Injustice in the DCEU we have already. I would maybe believe it happening there, unfortunately, but that's not where I would want it.
It'd be funny if they retroactively made it a prequel to this movie.
That would be nuts. No, please God, no. Because one of the things that's so much fun about Injustice is that it makes that universe all dark and screwed up and scary, but it starts from a place of very traditional DC superheroes. Like, the history of that world, I mean, it goes interdimensional. The comics don't immediately go to that place, which is nice, but I don't know. I'm derailing, but I still say I wish that the comics, the story that we get in that first year of comics was what the game was, and not the multiversal nonsense, because it's so good, or at least pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I've read it a couple times. I really enjoy it. I've never reviewed it. I needed to do that. But anyway, okay. Anything else you guys want to say about that before we move on?
Finish him.
Finish him.
Get over here.
The tagline for the posters is "Get over here." That's that's what it should be. They're making a Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I am excited about that. I really am. The more we're talking about it. Okay, Cruella, I'm going to say not so much, although that could end up being cool. I just don't trust Disney at all. And I could leave it there, but I just mean, I don't trust Disney with these live-action remakes of animated Disney things at all. I don't feel like opening weekend I should probably, or feel like I want to sit down and watch the standalone Cruella movie after Maleficent was my least favorite movie of all time. I hate it with a burning passion. And I hope this is great, and I hope people tell me it's really cool. I don't know if I could bring myself to, because I don't want to sit through another like anti-hero thing with a straight up Disney villain, or another oh, it's a misunderstanding, she's actually the hero. Like, a lot of people worry that's what this is gonna be. I think it very likely is going to go that direction, and just because Emma Stone looks awesome in the role and has the laugh down perfectly does not mean that they get that character, that story is going to be any good at all. Because the same was true of Maleficent. I went to that because I thought she looked awesome in that role, and then it was one of the most god-awful experiences I've ever had. So anyway, what did you guys think looking at that? I haven't even addressed the elephant in the room yet. I'll let you guys get to that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kareem.
I don't even know what the elephant in the room is.
The elephant in the room, I'll just go ahead and say then, they're selling it like Joker or Suicide Squad, clearly.
I was going to say that, yeah. Well, it seems like Joker created this trend where it's like it's okay to do villains, and I just got done with the trailer, and I'm like, who wants this? But, I'm kind of like, who asked for this? Like, I was good without this. Anyways, I'm kind of conflicted because I love Emma Stone. I love her and everything she's done. I'm surprised that they didn't have the Cruella DeVille song. Like Cruella DeVille, like a spider. Yeah, even a jazz rendition.
I'll be surprised if it's not shoved into the movie somehow, but I kind of appreciate they're not selling it on that, just because, and I don't know how much of a reimagining it is. I'm sure it's a reimagining at the same time as it's a prequel, but like, I mean, that song wouldn't exist yet. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I
have some respect for that, but I also fully expect it to be shoved in that movie, even though it wasn't in the trailer.
Yeah,
and I feel like I can tell what the movie's gonna be about. Like, there's a Cruella DeVille archetype woman that's her villain, and she's gonna take her place. Like, I can.
She's gonna shoot She's gonna shoot a bullet through her entire skull, and then take the helmet from her.
She's gonna have some super tragic backstory where she likes dogs and something happens. I don't know. It does not look fun.
They're gonna Norman Bates it. Okay. Well, I'm the most cautiously optimistic, I guess, out of this trio. I really like the original movie. It's one of my favorites of the originals, and everything I saw going into this, I was very optimistic about because I love Emma Stone. The guys they got to cast as Horace and Jasper are like perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. The guy from what's that ice skating movie with Harley Quinn? Anyway, he's great as Horace, and they look perfect. The trailer though is getting me a little more cautious because it looks bananas, like it's so weird and crazy and over the top. But I'm excited that it's a reimagining and not. I'll take those all day. Those have been the good ones of the remakes. I like some of the remakes, and they're always better than the ones where they just try to do a shot-for-shot remake. Like Lion King is horrible, and I hate
Lion King is awful.
Yes,
so I'm excited
but the worst of them is a female villain reimagining movie.
Yeah, but I don't agree with you on that.
Beauty and the Beast was great.
I like, and that's a polarizing movie. A lot of people don't like it. That's one of the two I've really liked.
Yeah. And
I have issues with it, but overall, they should not have added songs because their added songs are the worst. But other than that,
yeah, I'm very wait and see. Thank you. Tanya Mutali. I'm very wait and see. If I like it, I'll like it. If I don't, I'll never watch it again. That's how I am with these Disney movies. So it's no skin off my back if it's terrible. But
part of the problem for me is that every movie that's been advertised in the way this has, and I mean, again, they're ripping off the darker DC stuff a lot with the way they're advertising that movie, and maybe the tone of it, maybe the flavor of it will be a little bit different from that, but. I bet that's exactly what they made. I bet they're selling it that way because they were influenced by things like Suicide Squad and Joker and decided to make a movie like that. But everything I've seen advertised like this, except for Joker, are movies that looked like a lot of fun that I went and saw and then had a miserable time with.
I'm glad they're doing a period piece.
Yeah, me too. That wasn't necessarily a given. I was impressed with it. The production values look great, and again, she looks and sounds great, but I don't trust their writing right now.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I hope it's as witty and that British humor that's in the original. That's like the best thing about that.
I don't trust that at all.
The
Yeah.
60s.
That's not gonna be in there.
I mean, I hope so. But and
Those
like,
days are gone, man.
look, I want to keep an open mind, but I also don't really want to see this at the moment. Like, I need somebody to tell me it's good, you know? Like, I've just been burned too many times. I think that should be okay, by the way. I'm sure there's some folks later.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we doing this because we've already had a live action 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah, I think that's exactly why we're doing this. And because Maleficent was huge. Because people have no sense of taste.
In the original,
you're making me want to see this movie. I've never seen Maleficent.
All right, knock yourself out, which is what that experience should be like. Because when I got done with that, all I wanted to do was drink. But Maleficent,
it's middle of the road. There's so many Disney remakes that are way worse than it.
So like, here's the thing: you're both right
die.
and wrong simultaneously. Mulan is technically a worse movie than that. It just pissed me off more. Like,
I haven't seen Mulan yet.
Maybe about it on this. I mean, Mulan also pissed me off,
man.
but like,
Mulan, awful.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm going to say that as far as making me angry, they're both about on par. But I think Mulan is actually the worst of the two. It's just I couldn't believe how far the standards dropped with that. And that's the thing, DJ. Is like that was pretty early in all of this, and then there have been some movies that have been close to the badness of that since then.
It's Iron Man 2, man. It's like, man, Iron Man 2 sucks. Oh wait, now we've got 5 MCU movies worse than Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Everything's relative.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Precisely.
But the original movie is amazing. There's a game show that Horace and Jasper are watching in the original 60s film that's called What's My Crime?
Yeah, it's great.
It's a game show where criminals are on there and they have to guess their crime in 10 questions, and if they get it right, they get like a 2-week
Yeah, it's a parody of
vacation
What's My
out
Line.
of jail.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it's in black and white, and it's exactly that pacing, and that like go on YouTube and watch a clip of the old like 1940s, 1950s What's My Line. It's exactly that. It's awesome.
All I remember is the Canine Crunchy commercial.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of clever stuff in that one. I actually have to sing Cruella de Vil to my son every night so he'll go to sleep. That's the current song I have to sing him. It was Winnie the Pooh, now it's Cruella de Vil since we watched that movie. So I have a spot for that.
Real quick, I gotta read the super chat, and I don't mean to get us off, but this is related and will only make sense in this moment. Philip Kelton just put in a 20 Mexican peso super chat. I love this. Thanks, man. Keeping an open mind is how they steal your money. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a consumer. I can, like, choose to see a thing or not if I'm interested. Like, sometimes and that's what I was going to say earlier, I will get this comment sometimes where, and I kind of get this, but folks will be like, well, you know, Cap, like, you should keep an open mind about, like, whatever it is we're talking about. You should, like, you know, give it the benefit of the doubt and hope it's good. Yeah, if I'm interested in it, you know what I mean? Like, sure, but, you know, if I see the thing and I'm, like, a trailer for the thing, or even if it's just not a thing that I care about in the first place. But if I see a trailer for a thing and I'm like, that doesn't look like I'm going to enjoy it, like, why, why is that company entitled to my giving it a shot until I've heard anything about it? You know?
Yeah, this isn't that. I mean, this is just something I'm interested in. Like, I don't give things chances that I have no interest in. Like, I mean, and who knows?
Like, why do I owe anybody that?
No, you don't. Unless you're like a professional critic who has to see everything.
Well, sure, and then that's different. But you know, even if it's like based on a thing that I'm a big fan of, like if I saw a trailer for like a really horrible looking Star Trek movie and I didn't want to go, I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to see anything.
Also, aside from the money, it's the care. Like, you get all this energy and passion up to be excited for something, and it just lets you down. And once you constantly get that, it's like, all right.
Yeah, and who knows if I'll even see this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to see this, but I was excited to see Mulan, and I still haven't seen that because
it almost
when it came out,
like
everybody crapped on it.
Yeah,
it
and your brain
like
thanks
the
you for
standards
that.
are down.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Kareem?
It almost feels like the norm is the standards just go down because people are bored at home. They just want to watch something.
Yeah, so like this attitude of like just give it a chance, like I don't wholesale agree with that. Like, and there's a difference between give a thing a chance that you've decided to see, right? Like, I wanted to mention this because I think that's really important. If you, for whatever reason, you go to a thing, be it because, like, you know, DJ's example earlier, you're a professional critic or whatever it is. This was a big point of Roger Ebert's. Like, he always said, whether you believed him or not, that he never went into something hoping it would be bad. You're not walking in going, oh, it's going to be so much fun ripping this apart. Like, this is going to be the worst thing. He tried to never do that, and I try to hold to that myself. Like, I am choosing, because I'm going to talk about it, to watch the Snyder Cut. And some folks have said, like, give that a chance. By the fact that I'm going to watch it, I am giving it a chance. I'm not going to sit down and not allow it to win me over if there's a chance at it winning me over. But that doesn't mean that because I'm choosing to watch it, I should expect that to happen. This is a fool me once kind of thing. I've been burned by the DCEU like a bunch of times, like, and especially by that particular director. Why? And the trailers, the man is consistent, right? Like, the trailers for that movie look exactly like what he made before. He's giving his fans what they want, and that's not what I want. So if I sit down and somehow it won't be, I don't see why it would be. Snyder has basically come out and said this is not what it is, but like, if he somehow had a change of heart and was like, I want to make something a little bit more sober and a little bit more mature, like, you know, with a lowercase m, like, okay, and like, I will see that when it happens. What I always say is, when I'm expecting that a thing is probably not going to be, you know, very good or what I want it to be, my standards are in the floor, which means it does not have to do that much to impress me. So if I did decide to go to Cruella, it probably doesn't have to try all that hard. It basically has to just make her a bad person. That's all that movie has to do.
Yeah, I hope that's what it is. Just do the Chronicle thing. Like,
yeah.
There's
and it's like with prequels, it's like,
that's a really good comparison. That's a really good point. Yeah. I'm sorry, Kareem. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, with prequels, we know what happens. We know she becomes evil. You know, you just got to make that story.
Yeah, just make it interesting. The interesting thing is how. Like, so just do it. I don't know.
Okay, well, we're already 36 minutes in. Let's go ahead and start taking some questions from the audience. You guys can talk to us about trailers, the stuff that we were just talking about, or anything else under the sun. Does not have to stick to just the opening news topic for the evening. And why don't we, DJ, go to pre-written first, and then we can jump over to some super chats. Go right ahead.
Well, geez, Blue Dragon 5 bringing us down with the first pre-written. Cap, what would you say have been some of Geek Evolution's darkest hours to overcome in its 10-year history?
Wow.
Spawn year.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's the stock answer, right? Just figuring out how to force myself to finish that nonsense.
After Logan's Odyssey.
One of the scariest things that ever happened was when somebody, for some unknown reason, flagged a video or the channel or something. It's been so long I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't over copyright.
The Age of Ultron spoiler cast.
That's what it was, and they said that it was like false advertising or something with the way we did the title, and I never understood what the deal was, or if it was somebody that just didn't like me, because it's really easy to do that, by the way, if you really wanted to. I'm not saying that's ever happened. It's just, if anybody for any reason decides to, and I hesitate mentioning this because I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but and not just with my channel, but with anybody. Like, this is not fair. Don't do this to anybody. These livelihoods you're messing with. But you can go into a video, and I don't know how strict it is these days, but you can, like, flag a video for being I forget what exactly the term is, but yeah, basically false advertising, basically saying that it's not what it said it was, or for just inappropriate content. And it kind of doesn't matter what's actually in the video. At least for a minute, it will get taken down. And like, usually somebody from YouTube comes in and looks at the situation, but the whole thing is run so autonomously that, I'm sorry, that's not the word I was looking for. It's run automatically, right? It's run by bots and stuff, and it's like really difficult to ever get a real person on the horn from YouTube. So the whole channel was shut down, and there was no way to know if it was. if it was going to come back. And after 24 hours, it was reinstated, but I was never able to get in touch with anybody or anything. So like it was really lucky that it resolved itself. But yeah, that was pretty rough. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago at this point. But yeah, that was definitely one of the roughest things because I didn't know if I still had the channel and if I was still going to be able to do this. I didn't want to start over. Like, I honestly, to this day, don't know what I would have done if that had happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have hung it up. I don't know if I would have started something different and hoped that people came with me. I don't know if I would have taken a lot of the videos that I still had saved on a hard drive somewhere and just reposted them. I don't know how I would have handled it. So yeah, that was pretty rough. We've had some weird transitions in the history of the channel that have been a little bit difficult for me, just in the uncertainty of knowing when we kind of like relaunch, revamp, if folks are going to be cool with it and run with us. I am a lot less like nervous and uptight about that than I used to be because we've done it several times and it's always worked out okay. There have been a lot of times in the channel's history where we've gone from, this regular format to this other format. At one point we had like several people on the channel all making videos, and then later that ended and it was basically just me. That was a scary moment because we had kind of like totally revamped the entire channel to be a somewhat different thing. I was still reviewing the same way I always reviewed, but it wasn't just me anymore. It was a whole set of people, and for lots of different reasons I won't get into, that was a complicated transition. And then for a minute it looked like it was just gonna be me all by myself, and then Eric happened to come and move in with me, and then I had a partner for a while, and that was wonderful, and that was really great. And a lot of people seemed to think that was the most fun era of the channel, but then of course I knew that wasn't going to last forever, and things in Eric's life got busy and he wasn't able to do that anymore. And then that was another kind of difficult transition, mostly just trying to get people used to change. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing, is like, I'm not great with change, but sometimes the audience also isn't great with change. Like, how come Eric's not here anymore? Well, Eric never did this for a living. This was always a hobby for him. He never wanted to try to make this the thing he does. And but everything's always ultimately worked out. And I should also say, certain scares with YouTube, like copyright or changes YouTube makes, have also been kind of scary here and there. I mean, keep in mind, like, I've had 12 years of this, so every now and again something weird happens, and so it might sound like I'm throwing out a lot of examples, but this is not over just the period of a couple 3 years. Like, I've done this for a third of my life at this point.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was 15, 16 when I started watching Cap. I'm 27 now.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting looking at the demographic shift, because in the back of my mind, I still think of our target audience as teenagers, but they haven't been for like 6 years or more, because people grew up with us. So when we started, we had a lot of like 10 to 15-year-olds watching. And if you look at the demographics now, because you're able to track that on YouTube, which is kind of cool. It's fun just to see like who's watching you, what your main demographic is, and it's 25 to 35-year-olds now. It's more people my age than it ever used to be, which is weird. But also it's still people younger than me, but people that grew up with, me and the channel. So I think the age that I still think of as this is who watches us, it's like 1.5% now. It's crazy. 10-year-olds do not care about me, which totally makes sense. That is totally fair. We also don't have quite as many women watching as we used to. I think that's gotten a little bit better in the last year. But for a while it was like 8% maybe, was like all it was. But then the Superhero Rewind podcast numbers are different, where that's like 25-30% women. So that's interesting.
Oh.
Anyway, speaking of
I don't know if that was interesting to anybody.
Oh, it's interesting to me. And Kareem. That's all that matters.
I liked it.
In fact, DJ is my target audience.
Ah, yes.
So anytime anybody in the comments is like, I'm not interested in this, it's like, look, I'm just assuming you're all DJ.
Well, we're not all DJ, considering this next one. Mutale wants to know, Cap, thoughts on Danny Elfman scoring Doctor Strange 2?
I guess I shouldn't be shocked by that. He's had a good history with Sam Raimi, so I'm sure that's the reason that's happening. That's cool. I mean, I don't remember the last soundtrack I got from him that I was like, you know, supremely impressed with. But that seems like a good, that seems like a good place for him to work in. You know, that kind of occult stuff. I think he could do cool things with potentially.
I want it to be creepy, because, you know, from what I heard, it's supposed to be like a horror thing. That's like my most anticipated Marvel thing, other than the Black Panther and the Shang-Chi.
Well,
So,
and keep in mind,
really
and this is the reason I wasn't surprised by this. Like, I don't know if people know how far back Elfman's history is with Sam Raimi. Like, because when you think of Elfman, you think of Tim Burton, but he basically wrote the Batman '89 soundtrack for Sam Raimi before he wrote it for Tim Burton.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Some people don't realize that, but go back and listen to the Darkman soundtrack. It's Batman '89, almost wholesale. And so yeah, it's not surprising that he is scoring for
And
that.
where would that world be?
Yeah, exactly.
Sam Raimi
I just hope
that.
I just hope it doesn't sound too samey from a lot of his other work, because that is sometimes a problem with Elfman. And I don't want to be watching a Doctor Strange movie and be thinking, oh, this sounds like Spider-Man or this sounds like Batman. Because that first Doctor Strange soundtrack, it's not bad. It's kind of just there. I have to go back and watch the movie. Honestly, I don't even really remember what it sounds like. It didn't really stick with me that much. But it didn't remind me of anything else. I wasn't watching that movie going, oh, Doctor Strange sounds like this other thing. So I'm hoping that this doesn't really have that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I don't like, the only Elfman soundtrack I like is Hulk. And if it can sound as creepy and like haunting as Hulk, then I think
that's a really cool score.
Underrated.
Well, that's the thing, is that Elfman is, I think it depends on sometimes how into a project he is, maybe. I mean, it's hard to say, you know, I'm not in the guy's head, but like, he is versatile, absolutely. But I think sometimes he'll maybe kind of phone things in if he's in a hurry, if he doesn't get enough time to work on a thing, or if he's just not that excited about a project. Like, okay, I got to do another superhero thing, and I'm just hoping that this isn't him. That this won't be him going, I got to do another superhero thing. His score for the Theatrical Justice League is not good, but then I think he probably had to write that in about 3.5 minutes. So.
That was just an improv. They just recorded it.
I can't base anything on that. His Spider-Man scores are interesting because they sound like Elfman, but they don't sound like Batman or other. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to it, it's like, that's Elfman, but it's also Spider-Man. That's what I've always liked about those. My favorite bit of music from Elfman in the Spider-Man movies, by the way, is in the worst of those, which is the Venom theme in Spider-Man 3. It's so good. And, like, every time I've watched that movie, it gets stuck in my head for 2 weeks and I can't get it out, but it's so good. It's like exactly what I would want from a Venom theme set in particularly that universe. And unfortunately, the movie doesn't match, but it's really cool. So yeah, well, and
it sounds so similar to X2.
He basically that's true too, but yeah, he basically takes that Venom that Spider-Man theme and makes it sound more sinister. So it's like, it's not exactly that melody, but it's in that same mode, but now it's in a minor key, and then he kind of weaves in and out of the Venom and the Spider-Man themes in that. Like, go back and listen to the opening credits of that movie, and once you get to the Venom plays, it's like he's suddenly gone into a really creepy bridge. Like, it belongs in that same piece, but then it goes into this really creepy bridge place, and then it finds its way back. It's awesome. It's really cool. It's kind of like, you know how with John Williams, the Superman score has like 2 different Superman themes that are part of the same piece, where they keep kind of bouncing back and forth. It's like if you did that, except Zod had one. It's like you've got a Superman one and then a creepy one. It's cool. It's really cool.
I always thought they replaced Elfman with somebody else for that third one, but
yeah, I think that's why you like it. It's by Christopher Young.
Oh, was that not even Elfman?
Not the third one.
I thought Elfman did part of it, and I thought that was part of what he did, though. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was the part he didn't do. And I didn't think he just got credit for his theme. Like, I thought he scored part of that movie, but maybe not.
I mean, I don't know if this is accurate, but it says music composed by Christopher Young, themes.
Oh, that's right. They had a falling out before that movie, and I knew that, but I'd forgotten about it. Well, I'm glad that they're getting along now, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stussy says Christopher Young did the Spider-Man 3 score. Raimi wanted it to sound like Hellraiser. Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, sorry I was off on that. It's hard to keep all this stuff straight in your head, man. It's been a lot of years since I've had to talk that much about Spider-Man 3. But, okay, well, that sucks, because I'm like, the best thing in those scores is not even by Elfman. I like that Spider-Man 2 score a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really good. But it's interesting that it sounds, it's so obviously Elfman, but it doesn't sound like his other stuff either. I don't know why you guys show up to listen to me. Okay, let's go to another super chat if we can.
All right. Well, we have got this one from 2 different people. I feel like we might have to do a blind watch because I don't know if you still haven't seen it, because I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
Thoughts on the first Godzilla vs. Kong trailer from Stormdragon771 and from John Ty? Super chats.
I keep forgetting about it. I still haven't seen that trailer. I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah, we ended up not doing a show the day or like right around when that trailer came out, and it didn't come out for another, like, nobody mentioned it for another week or two, and then when it came up I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot to watch that. And I don't know, like, I'm not a big Godzilla fan, so it doesn't occur to me to go seek these things out. And that last movie was, a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was fine. I didn't hate it like some people did, but I can't get excited about that whole thing. But people keep talking about something really cool in that trailer, and even that has not gotten me to watch it. So I don't know. I apologize. Thank you for the super chats. I'm sorry I've not done my homework. Yeah, we could go ahead and bring it up, but I always worry about the show getting shut down because of copyright stuff, because that has happened before. But should we risk it?
Have you seen it, Kareem?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, great. All three of us.
I'm just gonna say Godzilla would win, right? He would just stomp one.
No, because this Kong is like 500 feet tall.
Yeah. Did they make him as big as?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made him huge. Because of course they did. Okay, I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's hard to set this up in such a way where you guys will be able to hear it, DJ and Kareem.
Well, I can just hear mine. I have it open.
Yeah, if you guys want to pull it up and then just sync with me, that might be the best way to go.
3-way reaction video, guys.
Everybody else, you'll be able to hear the video though.
Crazy.
Hopefully this doesn't block us and we're still broadcasting after this, but we're gonna try it.
Oh, no.
It's stupid. You should be able to show trailers, and I could just have everybody sync with us, but I'm gonna show it.
They've all seen it, so you don't even need to show them.
That's a good point too.
We're the only 3 on the planet who haven't seen it, apparently.
Okay, you know what? In that case, I'm gonna change my mind here. Okay, yeah, I've turned off my desktop audio. So yeah, if you want to sync it with us, pull the trailer up. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I think DJ's right. We won't actually play the video. We'll just watch it.
Hope I'm on the right one.
But there's gonna be some dead air for a little bit, okay, guys?
Not if we're like screaming with excitement and
like, I mean, if you want me to put on my reaction hat, I can totally do that.
Do a Kevin McAllister.
Do that guy in that insane reaction video with the finale of Smallville, where he was so excited to finally see Tom Welling in costume, but not in costume at all. He just lost his freaking mind. It went viral. This guy was insane. I've never heard audio clipped that much. Anyway. Okay, are you guys set up?
I'm good.
Okay, we're going to finally watch the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. Thank you guys for the super chats. Here we go. And everybody, please press play right now.
Needs him.
Yep, that's Godzilla. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, their Kong was already that big. It's not like they changed the size of it. Everything's shot so close. I'm like, back the camera off a little bit. I have heard that joke. Okay, I might have. Are there like a couple of trailers? Because I clicked on a thing that said Godzilla vs. Kong trailer 2, but I just saw a thing that was only a minute long, and then it was like going into another trailer. Okay, let me find that then. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. 224. I'm not seeing whatever you guys are seeing. Yeah, the first one that came up for me is like 337. They put like a couple trailers in it. I don't understand. Okay. So everybody bear with us, all right? I gotta make sure I'm actually seeing this trailer finally, because it's driving everybody nuts that I haven't done this yet. Okay, I finally found it. Now I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
Okay. That looks cool.
Speaking of insanity, good grief.
I'm glad they made Kong bigger.
He looks more responsive in this one too. The thing I didn't like about Kong Skull Island was that he was just like so stoic and big. Like he looks like he's more like the original Kong, where he's like interacting with humans and stuff. Which I'm like.
Not a big monster guy, so I saw the first Godzilla and half of the second one. Was like, eh.
Yeah, I didn't like Kong Skull Island at all, and then I didn't even watch the second Godzilla because I heard bad things about it.
So is there one Kong movie the modern Kong movie they made?
Yeah, Kong Skull Island I think was like 2016.
Yeah, and this is the sequel to that.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
What were those dragon things?
And DJ didn't like it, but I did.
Is that the one with Sam Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, everyone acting like buffoons.
That's what I liked about it.
All right, and now they're playing the Batman trailer, which I love. If you are justice, I can't wait for that Riddler, man.
No, this is looking cool. Yeah, the second trailer is a great deal better, and they are backing the camera off a little bit, so that's good.
Yeah, I was wondering what you were talking about.
There's a 1 minute trailer where everything is like this close up.
I think that might have been fan-made.
What's that?
That might have been fan-made.
No, it wasn't. I'm seeing footage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a shorter trailer because what you guys saw in what I'm looking at right now is the second trailer, but there was a first trailer.
Okay.
But yeah, effects and stuff look good. They got some other monsters.
Yeah, Kong's like Jackie Chan in it. He's like using.
Yeah, I mean, sorry guys, like I have nothing to say about this. It looks exciting and stuff. But like it looks like that second movie, except with Kong in it. Like I like that movie. Okay, it was crazy. So I don't have insightful things to say about this stuff, man. Like I'm not.
I don't think they want insight. I think they just want us to go. Whoa!
I'm not a monster movie guy. Like, yeah, if you like that kind of thing, it looks like you should like that. I don't know. Like, it looks fun to me. It's very colorful.
It makes me miss the theaters.
Yeah, I will say that, Cap. It looks interesting art direction wise. Like, I like that they shot the big fight in a nighttime with like I don't know what city that is, but it's got a bunch of neon everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It's like Tokyo.
Yeah, it looks cool. I might see it. It's gotten me a might see it after not seeing the last Godzilla and not liking Kong Skull Island, so that's good.
Yeah,
it makes me miss the theaters a little bit.
It's a good trailer. Yeah, that would be much better in the theater. Obviously.
It's like a fun theater movie.
I feel like a horrible person, like I don't know what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm like totally against my old sensibilities or whatever, but like I don't miss the theater at all.
Really?
Like, not even a little bit. And I've had to watch a couple, like, big screen blockbuster type movies now that you usually want to go to the theater to see. And it's not been that big of a deal to me not seeing them that way. I don't know. Like, I'm as surprised as anybody that I'm feeling that way about it. But I think some of it is just the convenience of not having to like lose a whole evening over it. Like I don't know, I'm a really busy guy, and I don't have to like go out in public and deal with people. Now, that sounds awful because like I'm a really social person, but at the same time, I have like found this other side to myself during the pandemic where I'm turning into Vince, man. Like I'm enjoying the homebody thing a little bit. Like I've been kind of okay with not constantly socializing and not being out in big crowds and not having to deal with all of the, you know, various irritations of a movie theater and all of the, you know, different variables that could make an experience awful for a movie that you'd otherwise kind of like. Like I'm finding, I don't think I would feel this way as much if I wasn't reviewing. I'm finding that for a brand new movie that I'm going to have to talk about off the cuff, having not given any thought whatsoever to what I'm actually going to say, because that's essentially what we do with How We Felt About. Maybe I'll get a half an hour or an hour to get my thoughts together, but where I've not actually lived with it for any amount of time, it is much easier for me for it to just be me and the movie, where I don't have like any other variables, like nobody talking to me, not having to get up and worry about anybody. Like if I can just, you know, watch a movie at like midnight, 1 in the morning, in private screening, in my bunker, on my projector, I kind of am preferring that right now.
That's fair.
Sounds good.
You totally says I'm a traitor. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like a traitor.
I just miss that event feeling. Like it feels like an event. We're going to the movies.
Yeah, but I could do without 20 minutes of trailers. That's super annoying.
Oh, I love the trailers.
It's 20 minutes of things I don't watch, so I'm just like standing out in the hallway or like wandering around.
Yeah, I guess for me, like I'm with you, Kareem. Like I miss the event, but the way it used to be. Like I guess I haven't enjoyed the event for a long time. Is the problem, at least compared to what I'm doing now, which I guess I'm just kind of liking more. And I've said this before, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, guys, but you know we've done 152 shows, and it's hard not to say things you've said before. But the other big thing for me, Kareem, is I see more movies I don't like than I like, and it's easier to be less irritated by a movie that gave you a dismal experience when you don't have to go out and pay money to see it.
That's fair.
What he's saying is, Kareem, you're only 27.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm an old person
and cynical.
I'm essentially
more cynical than Ken.
Kareem absolutely over the long haul probably is more cynical than me, but I'm basically telling Kareem to get off my lawn. That's essentially what I'm saying.
Pretty much. He's telling theaters to get off his lawn.
I do have the bad theater experiences though, where somebody's talking, or somebody's eating too loud, or it's just rude. Like I've had it multiple times, and that's nice to not have, because you're paying money for it.
And I also just like not dealing with the influence of other people around me that are either enjoying a thing that I'm hating or like hating a thing I'm loving. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Or having no insane reaction to Jurassic House that they should be having, except for me and my wife.
Seriously, how's the whole theater not like I'm laughing every 5 minutes, but nobody else is, and like that drives me crazy. And that's not me saying everybody should think the way I do. It's just me going, the experience is weird because it's like what's fun about going to the theater is having a collective experience with a group. But if everybody else is reacting completely different than you feel alone anyway. You might as well go home.
Or bringing children to rated R, like hardcore rated R movies, like Deadpool.
I can't deal with that.
I was in It Chapter 2, and it was a bunch of little kids. When I was a kid, like Chucky, I couldn't even see the commercials. Like, and then when my mom was a kid, Jaws, no one went into the water. Like, it petrified children. They went into the theater and just saw it. And they were just like, "Oh, my favorite part is when Pennywise." I'm like, how are you not scarred?
Kids are crazy.
Used to scar us as kids. They're so desensitized.
Yeah, and it's because of generational desensitization. Like, my generation grew up looking at things that the previous generation would not have been allowed to. You mentioned the Chucky movies. I saw those when I was, like, 10. I shouldn't have done that, but my dad, for some reason, allowed it. Like, yeah.
I was terrified of that as a kid.
Oh, so was I. Okay, we've got to move on, guys.
Yeah, we gotta make this second hour count. We got a lot of super chats.
Okay, let's go ahead.
CM Productions. Now that you're doing BVS, which movie are you dreading most for Rewind? There are no shenanigans that way, Captain Logan.
That's a good question. Yeah, because BVS, of course, was the big one. But I don't know that there's too much else in the, like, it's super polarizing, so it's going to be weird to talk about because of, you know, how split people are on it, except for Ragnarok. And that's probably the one, right? Like, yeah. That's probably the one I'm least looking forward to. There's others that I'm not looking forward to doing just because I don't want to have to actually talk and think and talk about them. So, like, Suicide Squad maybe, but Birds of Prey more. Like, I think I'd rather review Suicide Squad than Birds of Prey. But yeah, so there's a couple, but I've been thinking about this a lot. When I get past BVS, it's going to feel like a whole new chapter in my life, man. I had this with Dark Knight Rises, too, where I dreaded doing that for so long. And once it was done, it was like, you know, it felt like the
raindrops are falling on your head.
Sky had opened up, yeah, where it was just like, oh, I'm like, it felt like freedom, you know. It was like, oh, you can do whatever you want to now, and you don't have this thing looming over your head. But the thing you have to keep in mind is these things come out all the time, so there's always going to be something new on the horizon that's going to be looming over you.
Yeah, I mean, Snyder is going to come out in a month, and that will probably be pretty high on the list.
Yeah, maybe so, although I don't plan on tackling it the way I'm doing BVS, even though it's 4 hours. I probably will not do a super long chronological breakdown of that movie like I'm doing this, but
we live in a society.
We sure are. Kareem, today I posted in the Secret Superhero Screen Society, and I said we live in a secret superhero screen society.
I saw that. That's funny.
That was good. Anyway, Daddy Longlegs gave us a $10 super chat. He said, I could feel the internet cringing as I watched the trailer for Cruella. And sure enough, no one seems to have a single nice thing to say about it, aside from the fact that Emma Stone is in it.
Yeah, maybe sort of in art circles, but I definitely saw other folks on the internet that seemed excited about it, and like the look of it and stuff. So I think some general audiences are going to be really happy with the look and feel of that. I think it'll be big. Again, it's hard to say what kind of money things make right now in the kind of, you know, weird, awkward world we're living in. But all things being equal, if you could, you know, make you know, $1 billion in the movie theater right now, I think that actually gets close. I really do. I think that's going to be another Maleficent all over again.
Yeah, it'll definitely do better than Mulan. John Ty, Kareem, thoughts about Hickman's X-Men?
I think I'm a big X-Men fan. That's brilliant. Hickman's the kind of guy that you got to read every single thing, and he does like a 10-year plan. I'm convinced that he has the next 5+ years of X-Men. It feels like a spiritual, not sequel, but like the continuation. Morrison, Whedon was doing all the good things X-Men. So if you guys like jumped off of the X-Men book, now's a great time to get back. It's kind of like what I wanted. It's like sci-fi. It's everything about X-Men. So I love it.
But Kareem, you're saying now's a good time to get in with having to read every single thing that you know part of Hickman's book, right? Like,
yeah, he froze for me too.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Can you guys hear me?
Froze a little bit.
You're cutting in and out.
Am I still frozen? Or are you guys good? You guys are fine. So I was surprised when you said it was frozen.
Now.
Is it still a problem?
Yeah, you're better now.
Okay. I was just saying that I just think it's funny that you're saying it's a good time to jump on, Kareem, if you fell off of X-Men, because you're also like, but it's this massive commitment. You have to read everything. How caught up are you? Are you?
I'm only on House of X and Powers of X. I only read that.
I haven't.
Yeah, I'm just waiting because I collect the hardcovers. So, and with Hickman, it's like I'm just gonna wait till he's done.
Apparently,
I think it's one of the best.
Apparently, I only froze up for you guys. I don't think the stream had any problem.
Okay,
that was weird.
Yeah, that's weird how that would happen for both of us. But anyway, Alex Acera, hey guys, longtime fan. I'm thinking Louis Tan is secretly playing Liang, aka Young Sub-Zero. Also, what are your thoughts on the comics readers sadly been reduced at this point?
Let me go in and look at that super chat. I'm not sure what any of that meant. Yeah, I don't know what actor you're immediately talking about. So you're saying somebody?
Yeah, I don't know who Louis Tan is.
Somebody cast as a young. Oh, so you think there might be like flashbacks in that movie? I would have to go look and see who that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is.
I didn't catch the second part of that question.
Was that a super chat? Because I'm not even seeing it.
Yeah, $9.99 from Alex Acera.
Oh, weird. It's not even showing up on my screen. Oh, wait. Yeah, there it is. Oh, you're doing this in a different order than they came out. There's some things we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Your thoughts on comics readers sadly being reduced at this point? Do you mean like people reading comics, or like? At first, I thought he was talking about like comic readers, like a tablet. But do you mean like people reading? And what do you mean by reduced? I'm sorry, I'm just not. Does anybody have a read on this question? I don't know what that means.
I just think he means that not many people are reading comics these days.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, Kareem, why don't you feel that first?
First of all, I don't know if that's true. Certainly, like past couple decades, like way back then, it can be a good thing or a bad thing in my perspective, as in terms of, okay, not many people read comic books, but not many people read like they didn't used to read back then. And it can also mean if we don't have that many people reading comics, the passion comes back a little bit. You get that hunger back that you had in the 80s with the underground comics, and the indie scene and stuff like that. So I couldn't say, really.
Yeah, great points, man. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. When it gets too mainstream, there's always the potential for things to get more genericified and dumbed down for the masses. And we've seen that to some degree with superhero movies, I think. And I mean, that's a point that Eric's made for years, and I'm somewhere in the middle with that. I don't go as far as he does with that, but I think that there is some truth to that concern where, like, those things don't always feel as much like they're for actual fans of the material as they are just finding the least common denominator to get everybody on board, and that has been working. So it's in some ways nice that the stuff that I grew up with, that I was really into in, superhero fiction, is now mainstream, and it's cool to like it, but you pay a price for that too. And I think Kareem might be suggesting that if comics were too popular, the same thing happens there.
And also, like, you're not getting all the people I talk to that are younger than me, they're not reading comics because of the MCU. Like, none of these superhero movies and comic book shows and stuff are getting that many people to read, because it was never the mainstream thing to do. It was always a niche thing.
And now they're getting it in the medium that they were already looking at anyway. Why would they suddenly start looking at a medium they didn't grow up with, or that their friends weren't, if they're growing up now, their friends aren't looking at? Yeah, and then because it's always hard to say, like, how many people are reading comics versus how many comics are selling. Like, if the industry was handled totally differently, the numbers might shift, and then the assumption would be the perception of how many people are reading comics would be different, regardless if we're right about it. So, I don't have numbers for how digital sells. I don't know if you can get that. I'm assuming that Comixology and things and like sites like that don't tell you how many people are buying their individual issues. I certainly don't have any way to tell you how many people are subscribed to Marvel Unlimited or DC Universe Infinite. No idea. And then comics for up until just this year have been oversaturated, and there's been too many titles. So if the top selling title is only 100,000, is that because only 100,000 people by and large are actually reading comics, or is it because every company has 60 books that cost $4 or $5 a piece that they're trying to sell you all of? It's really difficult to say how many people actually casually or otherwise read comics, much less buy them.
This is a newer. This is a newer super chat, but I'm going to read it because it's about this. He's talking to you directly. He said, this is Philip Kelton. He says, let Marvel and DC die. Once the superhero saturation is over, comics will rise again in a more diverse way like manga.
Boy, I don't know if I agree that that's what would happen. I guess it's really hard to predict that, Kareem. Kareem's frozen up on my end.
Oh, I thought he was just really thinking about his question.
Really contemplative. Yeah, oh man, we need Kareem for this too.
Oh no.
Hopefully he comes back. No, that was really funny for you. It looked like he was just staring.
Like, into my soul. Your soul is mine. It's like Shang Tsunging me.
Kareem, if you can hear me, you might want to back out and come back in.
Kareem, if you can hear me.
Hello? Don't go into the light! If you see towels, you're probably in the linen closet again.
Such a mean mugging face he's giving me too.
Yeah, I know. It's really intimidating. Maybe right. I should drop him out and bring him back in, if it will let me.
Maybe he is frozen. Maybe it's not a connection thing. Maybe his actual body is frozen.
Well, that would be unfortunate. What would cause that?
What if the globe just started spinning in the background and we're like completely horrified?
Oh wait, what? Wait! I'm hearing a voice. Kareem, really, don't go into the light.
False alarm.
Oh. Yeah, I'll send him a message.
I'm noticing his surroundings for the first time. Is he in like a cabin? His house is cool.
Yeah, no, that's his apartment.
Oh, sweet.
I think that's his apartment. He can tell us if he's ever able to get out of the vortex.
He's in limbo.
DJ, I want to stay on that for a minute, though, because we've hardly answered it.
Yeah.
What do you think of that premise? I think that kind of oversimplifies the whole thing, and the issue is not just superheroes have saturated everything, but that there's a cultural thing, I think. Like,
there we go.
Hello, Kareem.
Hello.
Kareem, we really thought that you were just, like, really intently contemplating the question. Because you had this, like, really intense look on your face. It was like this. It was just like that for a long time.
Thanks, man.
Did you hear the question, or do you need me to review it?
What was the question again?
It wasn't really a question. It was just his philosophy. He says, let Marvel and DC die. Once that superhero saturation is over, comics will rise again in a more diverse way like manga.
So if he's talking about the comics, again, I could see it both ways. Like, on one hand, I could see Eric's thing where, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but from what I can gather is this is not what he wanted in terms of the mainstream media making superheroes and comic books to a wider audience, but the comics get no love and they actually get submerged. And on the other hand, I can see it where no one's really flocking to comic books, but then you don't get that saturation with the books. And it creates that, again, it creates that hunger and that creative energy where it can be resurrected and stay afloat. Comics go through, especially superhero comics, they go through ages where you got the golden age and silver age and stuff, modern age. Maybe we get that new thing for that new generation.
Yeah, there's always this question of whether it's possible to make comics as a medium a lot more popular than they are right now in this country. And I don't mean to sound cynical about the thing. I've always been a big advocate, of course, and apologist for the medium of comics. But I look at comics here the same way as animation. It's just been too many decades of a lot of people either not taking it seriously or just not giving it a shot. The idea that magically, if it wasn't as corporate, or if the big two weren't giving us the same kinds of stories over and over again, that suddenly it could blow up the way it is in Japan, where everybody reads comics of some kind. I don't see it. Not in this country. It's the same thing as animation. Like, if animation had the shot at becoming a really prevalent way to do serious stories like it has in anime, I think it would have happened already. I don't see that in this country.
Maybe. I don't see it, but it could also be a generation thing where a new generation of kids kind of have this appreciation for this art form. It's always been a a mixture of high art and low art, and this has kind of always been this niche area.
But what I'm
So
saying is,
who
if that,
knows?
you're right. But what I'm saying is, if that were to happen, it's well in the future. It's 2 or 3 generations down the road. This sounds morbid. There are people that have to die before that can happen. It's not an issue of corporations going away before that can happen.
And the superhero movie craze has to die for that to happen.
You think so?
Yeah.
Or it would have to just be a lot of independents making it. I mean, I think you could have that. I think you could have a lot of like people making high quality things in their basement based on comics that 20 people read, and like that gets popular somehow. But,
That's a great point too.
You know, like all at the same time. But yeah, like I'm not saying that, like, you know, I said it would have happened by now. I just mean like within our lifetimes or while we're still young. I don't think, again, DC Marvel stopped making superhero comics and somehow all of a sudden it becomes like it is in Japan. I don't see that. If that's what the commenter was saying.
Divid22 gave us $2 to say, to end Marvel and DC, give it to Todd McFarlane.
No.
See, you would think that would do it, but like he hasn't been able to wreck his own company.
It's true.
DJ, I'm sorry. Earlier, before Kareem came in, I was about to ask you your thoughts on this. Do you have anything we haven't said yet?
No, I think you guys covered it better than I. I don't really have any insight into the comics industry at all.
I will say, like, I used to work for in the comic book industry, and that was always a question. Is like, is comics gonna die? Because it's always this shifting industry. And at one point, they made like well over $1 billion, and you had industry heads that were like, "See, it's not dead." You know, all I'm saying is that's constantly a question.
I would say, how much is DC and Marvel keeping the comics industry alive? Like,
that's true.
If DC and Marvel dies, wouldn't that be a huge hit to the? I mean, the independent stuff doesn't cost as much, so I guess they could keep going anyway. But the people the distributors might not.
Stussy says, I'm going to be really snarky with this. He says a bunch of new Spawn books were announced today. Are they written by writers?
No, artists.
I'd love to. If they're written by writers, I'll be potentially interested in them if they're things that you can pretty easily jump in and read. But then I also won't give my hopes up that they won't all get canceled or be written by McFarlane before they start.
Spawn Year 2. Spawn Year 2.
Spawn Year 2.0.
Spoiler alert, but no. All right, moving right along.
All right, next up, Super Billy gives us $5 super chat. This looks exactly like that Mortal Kombat live action film I've always wanted to see. Bombastic, unapologetically fantastical, corny, and extremely violent. So he's excited.
And it's the kind of thing that gets away with gratuitous violence because it doesn't take itself seriously at all. So, like, it is a cartoon. And I get people that take pause with that idea where, like, is it ever okay to have just straight up, like gratuitous violence? I've lightened up on that. I used to be very much in that camp where it's like there's no reason to ever make that kind of thing. But there's a reason that that's only supposed to be for adults. Like, as soon as we start marketing that to 8-year-olds, I think that's a problem. But, like, you know, those of us that are grown up and we get the joke, I think it's much more okay.
It's part of its DNA. Yeah, that's the best thing you can do.
I'm still waiting to grow up because I don't get the joke. Someday
Well, also,
I need to get more.
Humor is also very subjective.
Yeah.
You can be both grown up and not get the joke. I just mean that if you get the joke, it doesn't mean you didn't grow up.
It's okay. It's okay.
Maybe that is what that means. But I'm assuming it doesn't. Okay, let's move on. How many more super chats do we have, Mr. DJ?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
Oh, okay, cool. Not too bad. Go ahead.
Around 6. This one is another one from Super Billy. $2. I'm with Kareem. I've always been a Sub-Zero boy.
Are we gonna get the T-shirts made, DJ? The I'm
Sub-Zero
with Kareem,
boy.
the I'm with Kareem T-shirts.
Oh, I'm with Kareem. I thought you were saying Sub-Zero boy.
Sub-Zero. That's also a good T-shirt. Yeah.
BOIS.
Sub-Zero fan club.
No, I'm with them. I only like the ninjas from Mortal Kombat. I always pick the ninjas. I always like the ninja scenes in the original, like, because Reptile's in the second one, so that's the only part I liked. And then, like, Sub-Zero and Scorpion are both in the first one. So, ninjas.
Sub-Zero
Are they
and
releasing a new
Scorpion.
game with it?
What's that?
Did a new game happen around this movie?
No,
That'd be
because
cool.
it hasn't been that long ago since we got the last one, and I mean it's been like what, a couple years, and they've been doing a lot of DLC up until just recently with that. Or has
Like
it been
the-
more like 3 or 4? I could see one in another year or two, but it's a little early already, I think.
Like the Street Fighter movie tie-in game that came out like with it, which was like the actors' faces on it. No, don't do that. Although
Yeah,
it
don't
makes
do
more
Street
sense with Mortal
Fighter the
Kombat.
game, the movie, or the movie, the game.
The movie, the game. Mortal Kombat, the movie, the game, based on the movie.
DJ, you definitely skipped some super chats earlier, man.
What do you mean?
I mean, you skipped some super chats that we never got to. Because people are saying, because you said 6, somebody said 10, and people just 5 minutes ago were saying you were skipping super chats.
Yeah, I said I skipped ahead to the comics one because we were talking about.
Oh, and then you're
that
going back? Okay, all right.
related to it.
We'll go ahead and knock them out, and then we'll just make absolutely certain that we didn't miss anything, because people have been complaining about that in the comments.
No, that's fine, guys. I got it under control. Trust me, man. 150.
Cruella
No, I'm sorry, man. I do trust you. It's just you said 6, and somebody counted 10, so...
There's 10 more ahead in the list, but we've already done like 4 of them.
Is that what it is?
'Cause
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I was keeping them all in categories because I don't want to go topic back to a topic then back to a topic.
No, that's great. That's your job. I'm sorry, I'm micromanaging again. I apologize. Go ahead.
Philip Kelton, I don't like this Mortal Kombat direction.
He's
I
gonna
wanted
quit
something-
over this show.
No, I'm super offended. Michael Kelton doesn't like this Mortal Kombat direction. He wanted something more like Rebirth or the movie The Raid. So,
Oh, the raid would be so cool. Does he mean a kung fu direction? Because I kind of had that thing too.
I
It
think it
doesn't
means
feel
more
like a kung fu movie.
realistic direction, maybe. What's Rebirth? Is that
I don't know what Rebirth is.
Mortal Kombat Rebirth? Is that a thing?
Is that fan film thing that everybody loved that I never saw? Is that what he's talking about?
That's probably what it is.
Well, everybody pull up your Mortal Kombat Rebirth trailers. We're all gonna sync up and watch
No, we're
that.
not. We're not doing that. No, I can totally see why he's saying that, though. But I'm just excited that it doesn't look like bland and nothing, and like it's trying to please everybody, so it's for no one. I'm so tired of that. Somebody earlier said you can compare it to Sonic because that's what I've always said that Sonic movie is, and yeah, exactly. Like I don't want the like watered down Sonic thing for Mortal Kombat or for anything really. But obviously it bothers me more with Sonic because that's a franchise I care more about.
How was that movie, by the way?
I don't like it. A lot of people do, and more power to them. But it's bland and uninspired, and Jim Carrey's fun, and it's better than I thought it was going to be. But I don't know. It's exactly what I was afraid it would be when it was announced. It just has a better looking character model than it initially did. And like, okay, great. I don't have to look at that ugly thing for 2 hours, but it doesn't make the content any better.
And then another one from Super Billy, $5.
Yeah.
I hate the mentality that a straight up villain can't be the lead in a film.
Yeah.
There's a difference between giving them dimension and making them heroes.
See a Clockwork Orange.
There's also
Don't.
a different, yeah. There's also a difference. I mean, no, I'm not going to.
Don't.
But
Yeah, I'm not going to.
there's a difference.
I'm just saying, as far as storytelling.
It's just fun that you brought that up because there's been this ongoing joke about how I refused to watch that movie because I watched 15 minutes of it and I couldn't handle it, and people have been making fun
Have
of
you
me
not
about
seen that movie?
I can't do it.
Oh wow. It is pretty.
Don't put it in for a review because he will not do it.
I'm not going to do that.
He'll give you a refund.
But I mean, I need to. I know it's like film canon and important and stuff, and I'm sure I would love dissecting it if I could bring myself to do that. But
Not for everybody.
But there's a difference between a protagonist and a hero, and Hollywood does not know the difference between those two things. If you are I'm not saying there's never been a movie made that way. I mean, mainstream blockbusters don't know that by and large. It's like, because again, they're trying to get they're trying to make it accessible to a general audience. And so some of the kinds of characters that we're going to right now, we're trying to have our cake and eat it too, right? We're straddling this line where it's like, well, people want like darker and edgier, more realistic things. So we're going to make movies that we want to be able to sell to children and their parents based on characters that don't make sense in those kinds of films.
It seems like when it is a little bit of a bigger thing, the only way we can get away with it is if there's two protagonists. Like, we can have Magneto go bad if we have Professor X in First Class. And, like, we can have the kid in Chronicle go bad if we have that one kid, even though he wasn't in it that much, but at least he's the good guy at the end.
But as derivative as it was, Joker figured that out.
Yeah.
And but it's rated R, and it was a smaller movie, and it wasn't made for a lot of money, and it didn't expect to make $1 billion, or however much it made. It made a lot of money, and I just think if we're gonna do that with actual like evil villain characters, we have to know the audience that makes sense to make that for, and then make it for them and hope for the best. Like, that's what that should be. You shouldn't have to like water a thing down just to try to make it cool for everybody. So like, I'm not interested in a like PG-13 like movie based on a serial killer that we then won't let be a serial killer.
Yeah, you need to get Emma Stone to a point where if there was the next movie, she would grab the puppies and say, poison them, drown them, bash them on the head.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. And there's no way that character wants to skin puppies. Like, I will eat my hat if that character actually skins puppies. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
The trick is to just make a character study.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, Joker,
Oh, please make it Breaking Bad. Please make Cruella DeVille the Breaking Bad of Disney movies.
All right, let's move on.
Is the danger.
T-Edge1, who's your least favorite comic character?
Oh, somebody asked this a couple weeks ago, and I could not do it. I had a really hard time coming up with just like, here's a comic book character that straight up I have never ever liked and makes me like. I'm sure there's somebody, but my mind totally went blank. Kareem, do you have a thing that just right away you're like, God, no, I hate this character?
As soon as we finish this, I'm gonna think of like 10.
It's really easy for some people to just jump straight to Deadpool, but like, I've liked Deadpool and stuff, so I don't have that.
I don't know. I read good stuff. I don't read bad stuff. It's gotta be. I don't know.
My easy go-to answer has always been Booster Gold.
I like him in Justice League Unlimited. He's great.
He has a really good episode in that. It still didn't win me over on the character.
Okay, so this is not my least favorite, but I just don't care. Venom. I just don't care.
Yeah, you don't have to. You
I
don't
don't
have to
think we can
dislike
be
the
friends
character to be your
anymore.
least favorite. Like, you just don't like him that much.
He's not my least favorite though, but every time I see him, I kind of groan inside.
I'm sad though, because I love Venom.
Well, with that, mine will be Batman. And then
Oh my god!
Cap will just kick us both out.
Yeah,
of the
so Kareem will kick you out before I have a chance to. You just haven't seen and read enough of the right stuff is the only problem with that, man. Like,
You need a reading list.
I haven't read any of the stuff. I'm not, that's,
exactly.
I'm
You
not
don't like
saying that.
Batman because you don't get Batman. You think Batman's a thing that Batman's not. That's what I think.
I don't think he's anything. I
Namor.
just don't have
Namor. I hate Namor.
Oh, I don't like Namor either. No, I'm with you. Namor sucks.
Sure.
Jedi Knight said, doesn't Cap hate Al Simmons? Yeah, but I shouldn't hate Al Simmons. That's the thing. Is at a certain point, we retcon stuff with him to the point where I end up thinking he's the worst thing ever. But like, yeah, okay, sure. I guess that's the answer.
There
But
we
like, McFarlane did it to himself. Like, yeah.
And then let me see. DeJuan Patterson Powers, $9.99. Hey, Captain Logan, how do you feel about Thomas Wayne being written as a villain or an amoral businessman like in Telltale, in Joker, and as Bruce Wayne had good parents?
Yeah, I had that thought in the theater with Joker, where I wondered if they had looked at Telltale or if it was just a couple of people who came to an evil Thomas Wayne at the same time. I don't know about you, Kareem. Like, I've always been kind of indifferent toward it. Like, I kind of just look at it on a case by case, like whatever story we're telling. Like, I think it can be okay. I thought he was a little kind of one note and just like typical uncaring corporate tycoon guy in that movie, because we only see him a couple times. But at the same time, if I had somebody like Joaquin Phoenix in that role, like coming at me in a bathroom like that, claiming that I was his long lost kid, I'd be kind of irritated too. And like, you know, I'd kind of write him off and be like, get out of my hair, kid. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, people have fought me on this. I think he was pretty clearly supposed to be not a good person. He may not have been like horribly corrupt or evil or anything, but I don't think that Thomas Wayne is like a good guy or anything. Like, my preference is Bruce's parents were more or less salt of the earth, but I have liked that version. What do you think, Kareem?
I mean, the beautiful thing about superheroes, especially Batman, is you can have your main universe where this is sort of standard mythology, and then you can do like alternative things. So I think as long as it works for your story, then it's fine. Like, I personally didn't mind it in Joker, because it's the Joker's perspective, or this kind of Joker's perspective, and to that Joker, you know, he turns out to be a bad guy, and the movie's saying stuff about class in that movie, but it never really bothered me. But you know, of course, primarily I think of Thomas Wayne as a good man, surgeon with the mustache, who was killed in the alley.
Likes trains.
I was gonna say, I always think of Thomas Wayne as the one from Batman Begins. Like, that's my definitive Thomas Wayne.
He's great. But
yeah, I could see why people might be worried this is becoming a trend, because it's not just that in Telltale, but it's also, you know, in comics, Flashpoint Batman, and that was a character that became really popular, and then he became a villain in Tom King. Like, the thing about Flashpoint Batman before that is he's very much an anti-hero. He's kind of like if Punisher wore a bat symbol to some degree, but he is not like evil. He's maybe misguided murderer guy, or misguided, you know, kill for the right reasons guy, however you want to look at it. So yeah, I can see how we might be concerned that that's becoming a trend, kind of like, you know, younger gun-toting Alfred has become something of a trend. Which is also a thing I don't mind, but I don't think of it as the main version. At some point, those might become the main versions, and I don't know how I feel about that. I would kind of have to see what the status quo looked like when that happened.
Also, we do a lot of, was Bruce Wayne's parents corrupt before they got killed? Yeah. We do a lot of that in the modern...
Yeah, and again, that's what Telltale did, yeah. Cinematographic, what about the Thomas Wayne from Pennyworth cap? I mean, I saw 3 episodes of that and promptly forgot it. Is
that still on?
Yeah, I think so. I think it got canceled, but it got at least, I think it got 3 seasons. I'm not sure. Got at least 2. That whole thing was so weird. Yeah. And it was even weirder once I watched some of it, because it's basically just more Gotham as another earlier prequel even about Alfred as like a spy show. It's very strange.
I'm really enjoying the chat screaming at me because I pretended like I hate Batman. Vitali says he is unsubscribing if I'm not fired immediately.
The well-versed Batman.
Yeah, they're very protective. Divid22.
Well, I think we have to do like the equivalent of diversity training for like Batman training for DJ, so he can only keep his job if he like looks at certain material. He has to watch like a tape that me and Kareem make about Batman, and then he has to like take notes and like, because that's gonna make a person like a character more.
It would be fun though. Divid22, other Batman villains Scorsese could do, top 5 or 10?
Say it again.
Other Batman villains Scorsese could do, top 5 or 10?
I mean, it's funny you say other because Scorsese didn't make Joker.
I know, I don't know why he said that. Maybe he just wants Scorsese to do them?
He just wants more things that feel like Scorsese films. Because wasn't the story on that? Because for a while I thought people were reporting like Scorsese was making that movie, and then, am I wrong about this? I'm just trying to remember. Wasn't the deal later that we found out he was approached and he passed on it? Isn't that what happened?
I think he was set to direct it, and it was creative differences or something like that, and so he was the executive producer or something like that.
Yeah, I think his name's on it, but he didn't actually make it. Anyway,
yeah, so they just went ahead and made it the Scorsese film without Scorsese.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need Scorsese. We've seen the films. We can do
They
it.
put two of his films together, Taxi Driver and the
I was going to say, I can see why it would be creative differences, where he's like, well, I already made those movies. I'm not really interested in making those movies again.
That's more like creative similarities. Like,
yeah, a bunch of people in the chat were saying that I would probably be all over Scorsese's Clock King. I mean, yeah, sure. I guess.
The Penguin.
I mean, Riddler is my answer. I don't know what that movie would be. But...
I'm not a Penguin fan. I love the idea of Scorsese taking on Penguin. I think that's the definitive answer to this. I think you're absolutely right.
And I feel like they can continue that class struggle thing with the Penguin, because he's high society, where he's like faux high society.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Sure, and then you have really interesting parallels between that and Joker, because their Joker's not that. I mean, Joker's never high society. I'm just saying that he was like
cool too.
His backstory is at the very bottom of the barrel. Sorry, what?
The ventriloquist. That'd be cool for a Clayface or something. You do a lot.
This is a joke answer. I was just thinking, Martin Scorsese's Rupert Thorne.
It's just a sequel to Goodfellas.
But no. You know what it's called though? It's not called Rupert Thorne. It's just called Thorne.
Thorne.
All right.
Comes back. Can we just name it Rupert?
Oh, Roman Sionis is a great idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure. Yeah, make him Black Mask. Absolutely. It's a good idea. Okay, we're at about an hour 40. How many more super chats do we have?
2 from Philip Kelton.
Okay, let's do those, and then let's do some pre-written. And after we do those, I'll just say last call for super chats. So if anybody wants to put some more in for the next 5 minutes or so, we can take some more, and then we'll answer some pre-written, and that'll be it for this evening. Go ahead.
Philip Kelton, I think manga, this is about the earlier conversation, has bigger success. I think he means, I think the reason manga has bigger success is that it has more story options, but it's hard to talk of American comics without it all being superheroes.
I'm going to assume that Kareem is going to massively disagree with that statement.
Is the question, does he think manga has bigger success than superhero comics?
Because it has more options, more story options.
I don't agree with that, but I agree with that on a certain level creatively. I think manga is a lot freer than comics, storytelling wise, but in terms of just money and mainstream media, there's no way, especially in this country.
But also just yeah, I agree with that. Also, just the second part of that, like, I see why you're saying that. Like, in this country, we tend to, like, lay people will equate comics and superheroes, of course, together. And fair enough, that medium got popular mostly because of superheroes. When Japan got a hold of it, they did a whole bunch of other kinds of genres that have nothing to do with that. And superheroes not anything like the biggest genre of comics over there. But also, there's a lot of things that they do that you could sort of put in that mold, but they just don't feel like American superhero comics. And they're also not weird like we are about blending things. Japan all day long makes things where I'm like, I don't even know how to classify that, and they're like, good, like, that's the point. But the second part of that, like, it's hard to talk about American comics without all being superheroes. Yeah, the mainstream, like, a lot of people who only read superhero comics or don't read comics probably have that. I know people who read comics who have never read superhero at all.
Wow.
And Kareem, I know you're big into the indie comic scene, and there's a lot of things you read that have nothing to do with superheroes. But like, Eric's girlfriend is a horror comic person, not into superheroes at all. I know
That's
people
really cool.
who don't read superhero comics, but really like the medium.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's interesting. Anyway,
and then the last one from Philip Kelton. How dare you dislike Venom? He could be listening.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you always got to be careful about that with that guy.
Yeah, it's mortifying and also embarrassing.
It's just, and they overdo it. Like he could be cool. He's just.
He was for a little bit in the 2011, 2012 time period.
I like good Venom stories like Rick Remender and Donny Cates.
But that's what I was going to say, DJ, is Donny Cates just did great Venom with that character. He didn't have to change the character to make it great.
Oh, cool.
The Spectacular Spider-Man did him very good.
Yeah.
I just seen a lot of bad Venom.
Well, look, me too. But the problem is, Venom is the thing that got me into Spider-Man in the first place, so I have very much a concept over execution problem with Venom. Like, the idea of it fascinated me because I had never read anything or watched anything that had that kind of, that symbiote idea. With the, you know, like the symbiotic organism and the kind of, you know, identity questions that creates, that fascinated me as a kid.
What's weird is I don't mind symbiote Spider-Man, and I like Carnage.
Oh, interesting.
It's something about Venom.
It's
the tongue. It turns him off.
Well, see, I love the look of it. And, of course, I'm a big McFarlane fan as far as art goes. I have the same love-hate relationship with McFarlane that I do with Smallville.
I'm interested to know, because me and Cap don't like the same Venom. I like tentacly Venom, and he likes, like he just said, Venom. If you like Carnage, do you also like tentacly symbiotes?
I can't stand that. But that's
Carnage is mostly like
that. But that's what Carnage looks like.
That's my problem with Venom is he's so.
But Venom is usually just, at least the early Venom is usually just a
they
guy
always
with
make
a
him
tongue.
this wee thing.
But that's what Carnage is. Why do you like Carnage?
Because he's great. He's like the Joker with marbles.
Oh, so you're not saying you like the look. You're saying you like the characterization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one more from Divid22 Cap.
Sure.
Could you do a play stream of DC versus Mortal Kombat?
Or whatever.
I mean, I could. I don't think anybody would watch that. Yeah.
You'd have to turn off the blood.
It's just Injustice has a little blood. I've always left that on. But it's a lot less in your face about it than Mortal Kombat is. But I don't know. I've done some Injustice streams, and it would be hard to go back to Mortal Kombat versus DC because it's so much like stiffer, and of course doesn't look as good. But yeah, that was kind of I don't know. I look at that as like a prototype for Injustice. It's really weird trying to go back to that. I also don't own a copy anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let me go back to some pre-writtens, and we'll wrap this up.
Sure.
Jedi Knight. Hey, guys, I have an idea. Let's say we get a Super Smash Bros. Movie starring Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu and Ben Schwartz as Sonic. Who else would be in your roster? Who would you cast? Wow. That's a whole video in itself.
So he's saying who would you cast for, like, a crossover, like, video game movie?
Smash Bros. Any character from Smash Bros. You can pick, and who would you cast?
Okay, I suck at the fan casting thing.
The Rock is Kirby.
Who would play Samus?
Samus.
That's the most interesting thing to try to figure out to me. Is like what actress would play Samus?
Emily Blunt, I guess.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, sure. See, I'm terrible at this. Every time I do the fan casting thing, I go to people who are at least 10, if not 20 years too old for whatever it is I'm trying to cast.
People age, Cap. You gotta. Yeah, but we don't know like the young people.
Yeah, I know, but that's my point. Is people age, and also I'm less interested in watching things than I once was.
And also, no one on the planet would have cast Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu and Ben Schwartz as Sonic. So our casting is not going to matter.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah,
They're going
sure. It's going to be
crazy with it.
What would that movie be about?
As possible. What's that?
It would be like Mortal Kombat. It would just be Shang Tsung collecting everybody, and then they just fight.
I thought
Sam Jackson, Nick Fury, just coming out.
I thought you were going to say it would be like Mortal Kombat. It would all be people you've seen and heard of, but Cap wouldn't recognize any of them.
Yeah, sorry we don't have a better answer for your question. That's a really tough question. We have to think about that. But thanks for the question, Jedi Knight.
I think a Smash Brothers movie would be really strange because I just don't see that working in live action. Like, too many of those characters would have to be CG people anyway. So, like, you might as well just make it an animated movie. And then it's like, I don't really know what the point of that is. Like, what is that story? It's just like, I went there to see a bunch of animated characters fight, which I could do by staying home and playing the game.
And I could actually do it. Yeah, I don't know what the point of that
They
game
can
would be.
do it. What was that movie with the video games? Help me out
Ready
here.
Player
with
One?
with the yeah, they can do it like that.
Oh, just
Where
add
it's like-
Cyclops in the middle of it?
Or
Running around?
like real people, like Transformer style.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they could do that. Well, and to be fair, Detective Pikachu kind of did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I think they should all just go fight a giant hand.
Oh, man. Yeah, never mind. You totally won me over now. I'm actually really interested in that at this point. It
A
would
giant gloved hand.
if you did a Smash Brothers movie, it would be fun if it was like a sort of globe-trotting thing where we go to like a whole bunch of different locales from different video game things and different Nintendo things, and we have to do various like quests and fights and things in each of those
That'd be
places. So it's like, you go to, I don't know why this is the first thing that came to me, but it would be really fun if it opened where it's like we all have to go to Tetris World. We're like running around trying to stop the Tetris pieces from landing on us, and then we got to like go to Mario Kart. But we're not actually going to drive around in the Mario Karts. We're just going to stand
Dodging.
in the street while they drive past us.
That'd be really cool. No, that's gonna happen.
We just got one more.
I think you're right. Well, given that Mario is finally getting a movie, if that's popular, then yeah, like the Smash Brothers thing is probably inevitable.
Yeah, so I guess it would be Mario, Sonic, Pikachu, and probably
Pac-Man.
that. Yeah. Whoever it would have to be whoever has a movie, or it wouldn't have to be. They could add new characters, but I don't know if you would add a character like Link or Samus if they didn't have a movie, because that would be a big thing out of nowhere.
No, you should cast what's his name that played Legolas as Link.
Oh, see, I'm just assuming DJ that they would have like as many characters as they could shove in it, and they would just focus on a couple.
Yeah.
And now I just want them to make.
And then you go back to my dilemma of making fighting game movies where everyone has their favorite character, and then only a few characters can get the spotlight, so you're always disappointed.
Okay, but at least it's not like Mortal Kombat where the only way to make it make sense is if most of them die. Like, that would be different from that, at least.
Finish it.
But yeah, man, I had a thing. I can't remember what it was. Oh, well. Hopefully it'll come to me.
You said the Rocket's Kirby. The Rock could actually be Donkey Kong. Someone just suggested Stephen Murphy. I don't know why you would have to cast.
But now, after all of this, all I want is a movie version of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
I'm sold.
We don't watch it.
The sequel, of course, is Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games. All right.
2 years later.
What else we got?
We got one last super chat that just came in from DeJuan Patterson Powers. I guess Captain Logan doesn't like graphic violence and sex.
It's not a selling point for me as like the reason to go to a thing. No.
Come on.
Yeah, not on its own. It can be used to facilitate a story, or I can look past it if there's other stuff to grab onto. But it's never a selling point. I'm not a prude where it's like if that is in a movie, I won't watch it. There was a time in my life where I was closer to that, but
yeah. Well, let's see. Back to some pre-writtens here.
And
Daniel
I'll leave it up
David.
to you to decide if that means I grew as a person or shrank as a person. Anyway, go ahead.
Any opportunity to say the word shrank is great, so I'm going to go with that. Daniel Davis, if you could trade one Batman villain and replace him with a Spider-Man villain, who would they be?
Great question.
Okay, so who am I replacing Firefly with? Shocker.
Rocket. Racer.
No, take Shocker and make him a Batman villain. That's my answer.
Venom.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, who would you replace it with?
replace Kite Man.
With anyone.
Anyone. Just put the Rhino in Gotham.
It's the Rhino. Yeah, like Batman needs more animal villains.
Do the Vulture from... Has anyone played... The name is completely escaping. What's the video game with the 4 different universes? Spider-Man, Shattered Dimensions.
Shattered Dimensions, yeah.
The Vulture in that game is horrifying and seems like a Batman villain because it's Batman Noir. I mean, it's Spider-Man Noir. He's like a cannibal, and he's just like... He's terrifying.
It'd be a cool crossover, like Hobgoblin, Scarecrow.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I forget if
Hobgoblin and Joker,
mixed with anybody in Amalgam. But they did do a joke in Amalgam where they had the 2 Scarecrows from each universe together.
And he became Scarecrow.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they blended them, but before the blending thing happened, they were just running around together.
All right, what else do we
Well,
have
you got
here?
maybe one more?
Yeah. Let's see if I can get one more here.
Oh, Divid22 just put in a super chat, $2.
Oh.
What if Venom bonded with Superman?
Oh, God. The worst story.
Kareem would be really angry.
We have that with BDS. I mean, pretty much.
Wow!
Well, especially...
I'll take shots on that one.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been taking them for 2 weeks, and it's just going to keep going. Yeah, I don't know what you do with that story, because I would think the only way to make that make any sense would be to actually axe the story before it starts, which is like Venom tries to bomb a Superman and they're just not compatible. Like, I wouldn't think that that the symbiote would really entice Superman enough that he would be able to hang on to. I just don't think that they would be compatible at all. That's the problem with the Venom symbiote, is that despite the fact that we just cannot stop doing like art and covers and pop figures where we blend Venom with everybody, he just doesn't go with everybody, like story-wise.
It'd be cool because they're both aliens. So you could do something with the Kryptonians and the symbiotes and stuff like that. But
interestingly, it would actually... Am I right about this? Because Superman's already, as powerful as he is with the powers he has, I don't think Venom brings as much to the table for Superman as he actually detracts from Superman. Because it would give him additional weaknesses.
I would love to see that symbiote.
Yeah, I don't know what he would get.
Like...
What would Superman get out of it?
Like, suddenly he would be more susceptible to fire and loud noise. But...
And he can just change his clothes whenever he wants to.
Yeah. That's okay. So he's got shape-shifting properties now. Does Superman need that? Like, actually, now that we're saying that, Venom taking over Superman, or merging, with Superman, would basically make him Martian Manhunter plus Superman.
Yeah.
Because, actually, in a couple of ways. It would give him some of Martian Manhunter's abilities, interestingly, and he also would be susceptible to fire.
But would he? I mean, the symbiote would get burned off of him, but he would be fine underneath.
He would, but then he would just be super, like...
Oh no, I'm just Superman now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it would just be a liability. He'd be like, why do I have you? Everybody just does loud noises when you're around, and they just hit us with fire, and then you're gone anyway. What do you bring to the table? It's pointless. Unless I really need to, like, look like somebody else to walk in someplace. It would only be good if he needed some kind of a covert mission. If he was going on, like, a covert mission.
It would solve his secret identity thing, where it's like, takes off his glasses and he's Clark Kent.
Well, that's true. We have officially done way more material on this than I expected we would.
Okay.
I hate Venom.
Last one from Philip Kelton is pretty interesting. What if you make a Mortal Kombat trilogy?
Single tier. I'm crying.
What if you make a Mortal Kombat trilogy, focus on the same particular tournament, but different character arcs happening in each? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be interesting.
I mean,
anime. Yes.
I just when you say Mortal Kombat trilogy, you mean four movies. Immediately you say trilogy, I'm thinking of games. I'm like, I never paid attention to the character arcs. Do they have those? Like, yeah. No, that's a good idea. Sure.
You build up to the big one, the third one. That'd be cool.
Well, and I think you could get away with killing off more characters too, because there's a much bigger roster in those games now. Like, I'm sure there are some more recent characters that some people would like to see, and if like they put in nearly everybody I've ever heard of in that trailer. So I mean, not really. There's some other characters, but like I found myself thinking if I were, and I don't know if they're trying to franchise that. No, I do know they're trying to franchise that. You don't make movies anymore if you're not trying to franchise them out of properties like that. But if I'm making that and I'm trying to franchise it, I would maybe stagger the characters a little bit. There would be some people that you'd expect to be there that I wouldn't have there, and I would use some other characters so that I could kill more people off, so that I'm not killing off everybody's favorite characters early. Like the fact that they have the roster they have, this speaks to DJ's point from almost 2 hours ago. I'm thinking they can't kill very many characters off if they want to franchise it.
Who knows?
I can't believe they brought Goro up for 2 seconds in that trailer.
But Goro's in the original movie.
Oh, yes, he is. And he's nightmare-inducing.
No, I know. We have this joke in my house because of that, because for some reason Freddy really likes Goro, and like we watched that movie years ago, and Freddy was like in and out of the living room, and he kept occasionally looking at the screen, and Goro's there, and he just hears characters talk. He's never seen anything Mortal Kombat. Because he's little, of course he hasn't, and he's seeing like characters talking about Goro, and he just starts pointing at the screen whenever he'll show up, and he'll go, "Hey, that's Goro." So Jason and I are watching this, so that's become like this joke in the house. It's Goro. So we're watching that trailer, and he's there for 2 seconds, and I just looked at Jason and I went, "Look, it's Goro."
Again, not as horrifying as that original movie.
Well, no, very few things are.
That puppet face is terrifying.
Man, I gotta rewatch that.
It's a trip, man. Holds up is not the right way to put it, but it is fun to go back to.
But it lives up.
It does. It lives on, certainly. All right, DJ, do you see anything else we've really got to tackle before we get going? We are at 2 hours.
I do not. I answered at least one super chat or one pre-written from all the people who did. Cinematographic wants to know if Ming-Na was cast in Ghost in the Shell instead of Scarlett Johansson. Do you think Ghost in the Shell would have felt less offensive to fans?
I don't know that it would have been all that much more popular, and I don't know if people would have liked the story, because it's just not well written. But it wouldn't have gotten the backlash it got, obviously. But I mean, like, I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but obviously the backlash was whitewashing. So if you didn't whitewash, you wouldn't have gotten that backlash. So, I mean, I just think the bigger... So I just think quite obviously people couldn't have been as offended about the fact that that movie was happening. I don't think the majority of people cared whether or not there was a live-action Ghost in the Shell. I mean, I question that, because I think that original movie is a masterpiece, so you got to work really hard to live up to that in a live-action movie. And I think it could have been done a great deal better than it was. And there's some things visually I think are pretty cool about that, but it's just not a good script. So if people went and saw it that liked that original movie, they might have been offended in the sense that it's not very good. But I don't think the fact that it existed would have offended people.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, that first movie is a masterpiece. The thing about Ghost in the Shell, too, is it influenced like 2 or 3 generations of movies. So you've seen that movie in other movies.
Yeah.
So it's a little late to do the live action thing. But other than that, of course,
happens. Yeah, that always happens when you make something that's like John Carter influenced a bunch of things like Star Wars, and then when John Carter comes out, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just copying Star Wars." I'm like, "No, it was already there." Yeah. But like, that's what happens when you influence sci-fi, and then you try to make that decades later. It's going to be weird.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and it's too complicated to just simplify it by saying those things are outdated now. But it's like the wrong time maybe to try to finally make them or remake them.
Yeah, it's weird.
All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly had a blast talking to you. Kareem, thanks for joining us, and come back again.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry you hadn't been on a regular Q&A before. I didn't even realize that, but obviously come back again, and we got some cool questions we probably wouldn't have if you hadn't been here, and you're fantastic as always. Thanks so much for doing it.
I love being on TV, so.
DJ, try not to get sick next week, okay? Because I want to do Spider-Verse with you.
Oh, I'm gonna be like Phoebe in that episode we just talked about. I'm gonna be trying to get sick. I'm gonna be licking sick people's soup spoons.
Well, that's gross. Don't do that. He's just gotta stay sick. Hi, I'm DJ, and I'm disgusting.
No, I will be there no matter what. I'm excited about this one. I want to actually be more prepared for this one. I like this movie, so see you there. Don't miss it. Tuesday.
Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central Time, part 2 of the insanity that is the BVS Rewind. I don't know at the end of the day how long it's going to be. It is, I mean, the one tomorrow is 1 hour 20, which at the moment makes the first 2 parts 2 hours together. That third part is going to be at least 1.5 hours, probably, I imagine. So anyway, just be prepared for that. If you care about the chronological, the nice thing is that first part is an okay, overview review all on its own. So if you don't want to have to sit through all that, you've got my overall thoughts anyway. So thanks a lot for watching, folks. We'll see you again soon. I was Captain Logan. That was DJ Martinez. And Kareem! Later, folks.